When you open your utility bills these days, the costs are astounding and the numbers are often difficult to understand. And yet, many Washington area residents are still seeing these numbers rise. Rising electricity costs have become a major concern for families, seniors, renters, homeowners, and small businesses across the District of Columbia. And behind those bills are important questions about the future of energy in the district, from the regional power grid and the PJM to the growth of data centers and changes in federal energy policy. Today, joining me on Let's Talk, we're going to talk straight talk to the agency responsible for regulating the district's electric, natural gas, and telecommunications utilities. I'm Denise Rolark Barnes, host of Let's Talk, and very excited to have joining me today is Ted Trabue, the Interim Chairman of the District of Columbia Public Service Commission. Chairman Trabue, welcome to Let's Talk.
Good morning, Denise. It's a pleasure to be here. It's nice to see you again.
Likewise, and let me be probably not, definitely not one of the first, but one to be included among those who want to congratulate you on the new leadership role there at the Public Service Commission.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. It's an honor that Mayor Bowser has tapped me for this interim position. I've been on the Public Service Commission now for about 3.5 years, and I really look forward to this time of transition, this time of energy affordability, as you mentioned, being top of mind for I think many of our residents, a vast majority of our residents, and I'm happy to be here and happy to answer the questions that you may have this morning. I know that your listeners are concerned about their energy bills, and I want to say up front, I'm a resident here. I get a bill every month as well. The staff here as well, and so all of us we're seeing it, and we are hearing it from the residents of the District of Columbia. So I look forward to the discussion this morning about what we are doing here at the commission to help wrestle with this, quite frankly, very vexing problem.
That's what we're going to jump into really quickly in the time that we have. We know that utility costs were a hot topic issue
Yes.
in our recent election,
Yes.
and folks have had voters to understand that the Public Service Commission has some power and authority over these costs.
Right.
And there have been promises made that the commission will adjust those costs. I'm not sure how that happens, but I wanted to start off with asking you what are some of those priorities that district residents need to know about?
First of all, let me explain the mission of the commission itself. The commission's mission, as I call it, is really threefold. First, we're looking at the economic situation of the utilities. You want to make sure that our utilities are regulated fairly, and that they are on solid economic ground. Next, you have your affordability, your reliability, your safety metrics. All of these things, coming together are under the lens and the purview of the commission. And finally, and this is what commissions all across the country do. Every state has a commission. We aren't unique in that respect. Every state has a commission, and all of us are looking at affordability, reliability, and safety. And finally, we have to do all of these things in support of the district's climate goals. The district has very, very aggressive decarbonization goals. We really want to move the city forward and be a leader nationally. And so a lot of the work we do has that affordability lens, and it also has that climate lens through which we look at the work that's in front of us.
Well, I mean, that I think a lot of people, no offense, but some people are like, okay, that's what we assume that you all were hired to do, and that's your job.
Mhm.
But how this is now affecting our pocketbooks. I mean,
Right.
these are essentials that we need to have. We need electricity and other utilities to operate, right?
Mhm.
Um, so what are you all going to do about it? That's
Right.
that's what
Right.
that's what consumers
So,
want to know.
so let me talk about two things that are going on an immediate basis. First, several months ago, we opened an affordability docket, a formal case, into affordability. We've brought in experts from all over the country. We've already had one hearing on this. I'm suspecting we will have more as we advance this. We're looking at, what are some of the underlying pressures that are on the bill that have caused the bill to go from what many of us remember 2 or 3 years ago to the level that we're seeing currently. And I want to say this, the District of Columbia is by no means alone in this affordability crisis for utilities. Almost every state in this country is looking at the exact same issues. If
Right.
there was a silver bullet, if there were a solution that were found in one state, I assure you, we would have already been underway implementing that here in the District of Columbia. All of the states are in this together. What I did over the summer was I really did some research into, okay, if you look at your bill, there are about 10 or 12 different line items on it. We looked at that bill line item by line item to look at, okay, what are the pressures? What's been basically relatively flat, or of course inflation adjusted, sort of flat over the last 2 or 3 years? What's really gone up exponentially, 30%, 50% in some instances? And what we have found is that I think the commission did a good job of laying this out over the last year or so. The Public Service Commission regulates about 27 to 30% of the bill. And let's be very transparent, very honest about the fact that we approved a rate increase a couple of years ago that raised rates by about 12% in that portion of the bill that we control. The other parts of the bill are, quite frankly, mandates that are put on by the council. Fees, taxes, other policies that are enacted by the council. There are some areas there that have gone up. The third part of the bill, but the largest part of the bill, this is where it has really increased the most, is as I think it's important for all of us to understand. Many of us know this. We do not have any baseload generating stations here in the District of Columbia.
And that means, what's a baseload generating?
Baseload generating station is a station that operates 24/7, 365 to provide electricity to the residents and businesses here in the District of Columbia. As you know, we had a station on Benning Road. That was not a baseload station. That was a peaker plant. That plant ran about 10 to 15 days a year on really, really hot days in the summer. We also had another peaker plant over in Southwest at Buzzard Point. Both of those plants are no longer operative. Today, I think you would agree, you and I are using electricity. And the electrons that we are using today,
Doing it.
electrons that we are using today are not generated here in the District of Columbia.
I got you.
We're buying electricity from Pennsylvania, from Virginia. Some of it may be coming from as far away as Kentucky and Ohio. It's put on the grid, and we are energy importers. And we've got to pay for that energy that's being generated in other states and pay for its transportation as well to get here to the District of Columbia. This is the portion of the bill that we, number one, do not regulate. We're buying electricity, Pepco is buying it on an open market, and B, the part of the bill that has exploded. And so, and again, this is not unique to the District of Columbia. If you looked at the last general session in Maryland, where Governor Wes Moore took a number of steps to help bring down electricity prices in the state of Maryland. Maryland is experiencing this. This is being experienced from the District of Columbia to California, all over this country. These open markets where we are purchasing electricity, the price of electricity has gone up astronomically. Let's talk about why. I think this is very important. Number one, a lot of electricity is made by burning natural gas. The cost of natural gas as a fuel to make electricity has gone up exponentially due to the wars, over in Europe. Number two, electricity is a supply and demand issue. You have to have enough supply on the grid to meet the demand. As we've seen the rise of the number of data centers, large consumers of energy. A data center can consume the equivalent electricity of an entire ward in the city. We have over 300 data centers out in Northern Virginia alone.
Right.
But as we are competing for electricity with these data centers, it's driving the cost of electricity up. Only recently have new rules been implemented to say that if these data centers are going to come online in the future, they have to bring their own generation with them or be willing to turn the data centers off and run on backup generation when supply gets tight. So on the demand side, you've had significant increases in demand. On the supply side, which is very, very important, we had a number of new generating stations that we thought were going to come online over the next 2 to 5 years. A lot of those generating stations were wind and renewable energy. That's the good news. The bad news is when the current federal administration took office a little over a year and a half ago, the tax incentives for solar, solar generating stations were eliminated, effectively messing up the financing for these solar stations, and therefore a lot of them are not coming online anymore.
Which
The
could have, if we,
permits for the wind stations that were scheduled to come online, the permits were revoked for the wind stations, as you might remember.
right,
Those were going to help us significantly on the supply side, and those are not going to be. We know that those aren't going to be available to us moving down the road. When we buy electricity, we're not buying electricity for the next minute or hour or day. Right now, we're buying electricity for 2 or 3 years out. So you're looking at forecasts of data centers coming online that is increasing demand, and the supply that we thought was going to be there 2 or 3 years from now not being available. And so that you're seeing that reflected in the cost of energy.
I'm curious, because this is old news now, but I just don't recall. But was it cheaper for us to purchase electricity as opposed to continuing to produce our own when those facilities were shut down? Did we think that it would be more
Right.
valuable
So
to purchase?
these decisions were made in the late 90s when the country was moving to electric deregulation, sparked by a company called Enron. Uh, the Maryland Commission approved deregulation about 2 years before the District of Columbia actually approved deregulation. This is one of those areas where we were not a national leader. In fact, we were one of the latter states, one of the later states to move to electric deregulation. So Maryland moved in about 1997. The District of Columbia moved in 1999. At the time, Pepco had 4 baseload generating plants, one as close as Old Town Alexandria. And then there were the 2 peaker plants that I mentioned,
Right.
Buzzard Point and Benning.
Hmm.
And for economic and environmental reasons, it was felt that we should shut those plants down. The plant on Benning Road ran on oil.
Yeah.
And as you will recall, if you were around in those times, when you fired up that plant, the entire neighborhood was blanketed in this really terrible smoke that
Right.
would leave, fine particles, all over cars and everything all over the streets. It was really a bad scene. The peaker plant on Buzzard Point ran on natural gas, but the plant in Old Town ran on coal. And so, again, environmental issues.
Right. Right.
Economically,
Hmm.
it was felt that we could get a better deal buying from the market as it existed at the time and as we forecasted at the time than we could get by maintaining paying for the operations and maintenance of all of those plants, as a small jurisdiction here. I would argue that that decision was a wise one. For 25 years, a quarter of a century, our electricity bills were very, very low
Correct.
nationally. If you look at where our bills are today, I want to say this and I want to emphasize this because I took a look at this over the summer. For deregulated states, we are right in the middle of the pack in terms of our energy cost. We are not by any stretch an outlier at the highest or the lowest. We're right in the middle of the pack at about 24 cents kilowatt hour. So that's, I know that's not comforting when you're getting a bill that's $200 or $300 and you're used to seeing a bill that's more like $80 to $100. I know that this is very concerning, but I want you to know that we are working closely with PJM. We're working closely with the transmission operators to try to say, what can we do to bring on more supply? What can we do? Of course, we have to, as you're bringing on supply, you have to bring on transmission. as well to support that supply and bring the electricity here. And the third piece of that is, in my mind, I'm not ruling off the table bringing more generation closer to the District of Columbia. We've had an incredible effort, successful effort, to bring solar generation here to the District of Columbia and help our income qualified residents cut their utility bills significantly. Our Solar for All program has helped over 12,000 households in this city. We started the Solar for All program back in 2012. We're at the point now where we've helped over 12,000 households in the city reduce their energy bills by 40 to 50%. The expansion of that program, along with battery storage, is one of the things that I think we will be looking at in the near term as ways to help not only our income qualified residents, but maybe those who are above those income thresholds, because they are feeling this crunch significantly as well, to help them bring down their energy bills. And so, again, taking no options off the table, we have this investigation that I talked about, this formal case that we've opened. There's also been there is a new organization, a new communication that is starting through all of the commissioners, and all of the states are coming together for the first time to discuss this on a national level. That the group is starting its first meeting, will be within the next couple of weeks. I clearly raised my hand early on and said, look, whatever I can do, I want to participate. This is critical to the residents and businesses here in the District of Columbia, and I want to make sure that we are front and center in the discussion.
Well, I think all of this is good news, that there are initiatives to address, the utility costs that consumers, are facing.
Mhm.
And, some of the stories that I've heard, not just in the district, you're right. I mean, in Prince George's County, it's been astounding. So, there's this, as we know, the big fight against um,
Against data centers.
data centers.
Yeah.
And not far from where our office is here in Southeast, we'd have, I guess you'd call it a solar farm. So people are now being able to share solar energy, because that has impacted costs.
Right,
Um,
and that's the community solar, as I said. That's through the I used to run the DC Sustainable Energy Utility, and we installed over 1,000 units, solar units, on single family homes. But then we started building community solar as well, and that's where we got the other 11 or 12,000 residents that we've been able to hook to those community solar projects. Those programs are ongoing here in the District of Columbia. What I would note, they are reflected in the prices of our bills. I mean, these aren't freebies. They are reflected in the prices of the bills that we're paying here in the District of Columbia. There are trade-offs for so many of the things that we are doing. Um, in the old days, 15, 20 years ago, the issue was reliability. Pepco had a system, quite frankly, that did not meet, I think, the reliability standards that we deserve here as a city. It was lowest quartile in the country in terms of reliability. Some of the storms that we've had over the summer, you've seen, outages in the few hundreds to maybe not even a couple thousand. 15 or 20 years ago, you would have seen 50,000, 80,000 people without power here in the District of Columbia. You've lived through it. Both of I are old line Washingtonians. I'm a fourth generation Washingtonian. We remember those days. Now, we've invested significantly in Pepco's systems such that those reliability issues are not the challenge now. The issue now is going to be affordability,
so
and bringing our prices back down.
before we end, Chairman Trabue, I want to ask, because it's always, what are you going to do? What are you going to
Mhm.
do?
Yeah.
And I know residents are trying to figure out what should they do, because it seems as though some might be saying, well, no matter what I do, I'm cutting my air conditioning back. I'm not using it as often. I'm, doing all the things they've told me to do. What should I be doing now? And for me, one of the important things that you're telling us is, one, this programming, you all coming out and talking to communities, letting them know the initiatives that you're working on and how they need to stay informed about them.
Right.
What else would you recommend that consumers do to personally help to reduce their own utility costs?
Let me offer, first of all, our phone number, to call specifically if you're having any trouble with your bill. We're at 202 626 5124. Please, we have a great organization here, live people who will answer the phone, are willing to help you talk about specific strategies in your home or business. Remember, this isn't just a residential issue. This is, we have small businesses here, we have large businesses here. We are here to help. 202 626 5124. Additionally, I would say this. One of the things that we really think is important is understanding your bill. I get calls from friends, from people I don't know, sometimes saying, well, I got this offer and they said they can lower my bill by 10%. I get this offer and they said they can do this, that, and the other for my bill. Number one, whatever offer you receive, get it in writing. And number two, if you have questions about it, if you think, I'm not sure about this, please refer it to us. Give us a call. This is why we're here, to help residents and businesses here in the District of Columbia navigate their energy consumption and their energy future. And so please, I would offer our offices as a resource to help you navigate, help not you, but all of our residents here, to help them navigate what is, quite frankly, we took energy for granted. The bill came, we paid it, we kept on moving because there were other more important things in life. But I think this is a time now where we really need to look at some of those things specifically within our homes. I always say this, just on a personal level, almost all of us have a refrigerator. One of the easiest ways, the two easiest ways to lower energy consumption in your home is to take off the bottom of that refrigerator and dust out that vent that's at the bottom of the refrigerator. Free it from dust and lint so the refrigerator can breathe easier. If you have the ability, pull the refrigerator from against the wall and clean the coils on the back. It will make your refrigerator, which is one of the largest consumers of energy in your home, consume less energy. And secondarily, change out all of your lighting to LED lighting. It will immediately reduce energy consumption within your home. Both of these things, I would say, immediately within your home. Move to LED lighting, clean out the ventilation around your refrigerator. It will significantly help you in your home.
Well, I'm going to give you the award for the first, because that's the first time I've heard someone talk about cleaning out, the vents and what have you in the.
Just get an old-fashioned dustpan,
Yeah.
dust broom and a dustpan, and you'd be amazed at how much dust is back there.
Right.
And I know a lot of us just don't do that, but please, these are two quick tips. I'm not saying they're free, but it is free to dust off your refrigerator. LED lighting has come down significantly in cost. Those bulbs used to cost $20 a piece. Now you can get them for $1 or $2 a piece.
And they last forever.
You'll see it immediately on your energy bill.
Exactly. Well, I want to thank you, Chairman Ted Trabue, for being with us today, interim chair. There, we will hopefully talk. We've always appreciated the opportunity to talk to the Public Service Commission about these issues, and we'll continue to do so. And we hope that our viewers have a better understanding of what's happening with their utility bills and what could be done, and what the Public Service Commission, is doing. You're not ignoring it. You're on it.
No, absolutely none of this is priority number one around here. Absolute priority number 1, 2, and 3, quite frankly.
Wonderful.
The affordability piece, and not only working with Mayor Bowser, but clearly, as you know, our incoming mayor, will have this as top of line in her agenda as well. She ran on it as a campaign issue. And so clearly we will be working closely with the new administration as they launch. I'm sure we were working with them to talk about initiatives that we can launch maybe even sooner than January 2nd or so when she's sworn in. I don't see any reason to wait. If there are good ideas, let's start implementing them now.
Wonderful. I like that the sound of the church bells behind you. It's a good signal to say we are coming to the close of another edition of Let's Talk. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks, Denise. So good to see you again.
Likewise.
I appreciate it. Bye-bye now.
Take care.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk. I'm Mya Trujillo, a reporter here at the Washington Informer, covering topics on environment, health, international issues. Today, I'm really excited to have Antoine Thompson, the Executive Director and CEO of the Greater Washington Region Clean Cities Coalition. He's going to be joining me to talk about this really exciting opportunity for young people across the Washington region. Today, we're going to be talking about the Future Green Leaders Program, an initiative that is helping students learn about clean transportation, sustainability, and just the growing opportunities in the green economy. When we talk about preparing our young people for the future, we often focus on traditional career paths, but the world of work is changing and there are tremendous opportunities emerging in clean energy, electric vehicles, technology, engineering, environmental policy, and sustainability. So let's talk about how our young people can be part of that future. Hello, Antoine.
How are you today? Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. And, I've spoken to you a few times. It's great to see you always. So let's just jump right into it. I mean, first off, for those who may be hearing about it for the first time, what exactly is the Future Green Leaders Program and what inspired GWRCCC to create this opportunity specifically for students?
Yeah, so first, thank you for having me on Greater Washington Region Clean Cities. We're a leading environmental organization. We've been around since 1993. As one of the first clean cities and community organizations across the country. And this year we celebrate 15 years as a standalone nonprofit organization. I've been with the organization about 5 years. And one of the big things that we wanted to do is make sure that our youth have access to education and opportunity, educational and opportunities that exist in the green economy. A few years ago, you heard a lot about this transformation under President Biden, and that was going on before him as well. But we've seen significant investments that were happening in electric vehicles, solar, wind, the renewable and sustainable economy that's rapidly growing all around the world, especially in the United States. And we felt it was important for us to make sure that African-American communities were not spectators, especially other folks of color and low-income folks were not left behind as this investment was accelerating and continues to accelerate around the country. So we felt it important to, one, connect with some schools, to develop a program where we could be at churches, community centers, community organizations, educating youth about environmental stewardship, green careers, and financial literacy, and being able to adjust that conversation and that training based on the audience. So we've been running this program 4 years now. In fact, we just had a training with some students, 39 middle and high school students recently, and it was an amazing experience.
That was so wonderful. Happy 4-year anniversary. Really excited to see what the future holds for this program. But why is it so important for young people in the DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia region to understand clean transportation, sustainability, and the growing green economy?
Yeah, so number one, we try to connect the dots for young people around the impact of pollution on their health and in the environment. One of the things that we try to educate folks on, number one, is that asthma is not hereditary. It's a health condition impacted by the environment that you live in. And so that's one of the first things we educate our students on. We also want them to understand the various forms of pollution, especially from the transportation sector, and things that they can actually do about it. We also connect the dots on historical redlining. That's when the federal government drew red lines around neighborhoods and said, we're not going to provide mortgages in those areas. And as a result, that accelerated the underserved and all the social economic challenges that we see in many parts of the region, especially in wards 5, 7, and 8 in DC, and the first ring suburb parts of Prince George's County. And so we show that, we educate them that this is what the government did, and this is why some of the things we see play out, like food deserts, banking deserts, higher crime, schools are under-resourced, and then we have shorter lifespans because of environmental factors as well, like older homes with lead paint, more warehouses that have diesel trucks driving through them, more highways that have tens of thousands of people traveling through them, polluting the air on a daily basis. So you have higher instances of people with respiratory-related illnesses and cancer and lupus. So we educate them about that, and then help them understand that there's some solutions, and that there's also some jobs that they can get as a result of trying to improve the environment as well. And so we're really excited about some of the things that they learn, some of the things that they do as well.
So then, aside from learning all of this, what are some kinds of experiences and opportunities that students receive through the program? And what are some of those careers in clean energy, transportation, technology, and sustainability that they should know are available to them?
So the first thing that we help them to understand that there are every type of job imaginable, whether it's the person that picks up the recycling at your home, to the person that puts the solar panels on your home, to the window installer that puts energy efficient windows on your home, to the one that makes sure that your home is designed with all the bells and whistles as an architect to save energy on your home, to the engineer who designs the electric car or alternative fuel power vehicle, to the technician that fixes that vehicle, right? Or to the person that markets those services, or to the environmental lawyer that exists, or the policy staffer that works in both the public sector, private sector, lobbyist, agency head, or just the receptionist that answers the phone. There are a tremendous amount of jobs in the sustainability community and green economy, and we try to educate students about broadening their perspective. And unfortunately, African Americans are not, we're underrepresented in the industry. And so one of our things is to try to get people to not only explore career opportunities, but also entrepreneurial business opportunities in the space as well. So we share that with the students.
Wonderful, thank you. Is there anything, any of those careers that ever surprise the students that stands out to them?
I think a mixture that they never think about being an environmental lawyer. You don't really hear a lot of people saying, I want to be an environmental lawyer, I want to be a lawyer, but they don't always say they want to be an environmental lawyer. I think some of the policy positions, most students are not aware of that. And in that also, there's just some of the other things, whether it's doing videography, an environmental journalist, an environmental consultant. So people are often surprised about the breadth and scope of all of the opportunities that exist in the industry. So they're pretty much surprised by most of that. I think for a solar installer or something like that, people have heard a lot about solar, so they know that there's some jobs related to installing, but they don't necessarily think about all the other jobs related to solar, or just the renewable, people want to buy clothes that are food products that are biodegradable. More companies, as we share with them, are looking at how they can be a better corporate citizen. And so they're looking at how they use less biodegradable things, that are more biodegradable, things that are less hazardous to the environment. So they're often surprised by that. Someone actually has to think through that stuff, manufacture that stuff, produce it, sell it, and then also tell that story too.
And I think my last question here is just for a student who's interested in becoming a future green leader, what is the first step that they should take to get involved, and how can their parents and their educators help them out with that?
Yeah, so first I would say go to our website at GWRCCC.org. We are in a few schools in the region. We're currently in Columbia Heights Educational Campus in Washington, D.C. We are also in Frederick Douglass High School in Prince George's County. And then we show up at different events that we're invited to speak, either for an hour a few hours or over the course of a period of time at different faith-based programs, youth programs, schools, etc. And so if you want us to come speak to your organization, or if you want to get involved, we will have another cohort. We had a training for this summer. Students from DC, Maryland, Virginia, 39 students. They all got a $250 stipend for participating. We can't do that all the time, but we got funding for that. In fact, we just got an email today, warmed my heart, from a parent who said that was the most money their teenager ever made at one time for doing some work and showing up. And that really warmed my heart to hear a parent say that they learned something, and that was the most that their student ever made at one time. So we sometimes we're doing this work, but we don't always remember how we're touching people and the inspiration that. So parents and students, reach out to us. We've only been doing this program about 4 years, so we have a long way to increase our knowledge base on what we know, so that we can grow and make an impact.
Wonderful. That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Antoine. And thank you to you and GWRCCC for just all the work that you guys do in really building the future leaders of this green economy. So really appreciate you for taking your time to join us. This was great. And anybody interested in the Future Leaders program, just make sure you check out their website. And like you said, reach out if you guys are interested. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Go green.
Go green.
Hello, everybody. Where do you come to get all your news? You already know, the one-stop shop that is the Washington Informer. I am Micha Green, managing editor, and I'm so excited to be with you all today on WIN TV's Let's Talk as we celebrate Black Business Month. We are honoring entrepreneurs, innovators, and visionaries who are creating businesses, building wealth, and opening doors for the next generation. And today we're shining a spotlight on an entrepreneur who is making her mark in the spirits industry, Tiffany Capri. Tiffany, welcome to Let's Talk.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We so appreciate your time and vision and entrepreneurship. And I know being an entrepreneur is a very busy and taxing role that you wear every day with very fly ensembles, might I add. But it takes some time. So thank you for being with us.
You're absolutely welcome. Thank you for having me.
We truly appreciate it. So, before we get into the nitty gritty that is T-Capri Tequila, I want to first go back into your journey. Why did you decide to enter the tequila industry? That's not something you hear every day.
Right.
And I'm very inspired and interested. So what got you into that business?
So December 12th, 2012, I was in a major car accident and I suffered from traumatic brain injury, but I am currently still a federal government employee. So I was on my way to work and I got in a really bad car accident, and I was home a lot. I was sick a lot. I was in and out of the hospital a lot, and I needed to occupy myself. So I love to bake. So I started a gourmet treats business making handcrafted gummies made from wines and spirits and handcrafted cakes made from wines and spirits. So that's my flagship business. And I was just using so many other people's, spirit brands. I wanted my own. And I love tequila. So I just started researching where tequila was made.
I absolutely love that. And, it makes perfect sense because you're like, hey, I'm already creating these products, but I'm using somebody else's things. What gave you that next step in courage to start your own tequila brand, and particularly in such a competitive industry?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I was still sick. I was actually having seizures. So I was just like, life is not promised, and I love to travel. And I was like, what could I do to make my gourmet treats? Me still thinking at the time, this just is a gourmet treats business. What can I make this gourmet treats business better? And again, like I said, I started researching when tequila was made because I love tequila. So I said, well, I'll go to Jalisco, Mexico, and start learning the process of how to make tequila from farm to table. So that was a process, and I was just going back and forth to Jalisco, Mexico. I found a small family-owned distillery that would allow me to learn, literally get in the agave fields with the humidors, get into the distillery with the tequila master. And, I'm not, of course, a large company, and I only had my personal finances. So I needed to find a small family-owned distillery that will allow me to purchase a small batch. And they did. They allowed me to purchase a small batch. So again, I thought it was only supposed to be for my gourmet treats, but the tequila was so amazing. I fell in love with, Jalisco and the process of making tequila. I knew I couldn't put it in a cake or a gummy bear or anything. So I was like, well, this will be just a small boutique brand, and I'll just start this. Little did I know.
Little did you know. First of all, before we continue, I have to say I'm so happy to see you healthy and thriving. Yes. As the daughter of somebody with a traumatic brain injury, I don't know how Black women are just so strong.
Resilient. We're so resilient.
Absolutely. And so my mommy is in town now and doing very well. And so just again, I have to shout that out. But it's also not only a National Black Business Month, but also National Wellness Month. And so much about wellness and National Wellness Month is choosing yourself, being intentional about your time. And I'm learning about that as we report on it. So to hear your story and prioritizing wellness in a way that were able to travel, learn, experience new cultures. I'm just inspired. So I had to take that license.
Well, thank you. And I tell everyone, when you go through a process, or illness or sickness and, a disability, because at the time that's what they were trying to say. Oh, it's a disability. But I don't believe everything the doctors say. I believe what God says. And if God is going to heal me, he's going to heal me. It's not about the doctor. So I think that was my mentality with that, was like, I knew the brain took the longest to heal. So I was literally in a process for years with my brain healing. And at the same time, knowing that even with my gourmet treats and my gummy bears and everything was handcrafted. I used the best ingredients, everything. So with my tequila, I knew that I wanted a amazing tequila, a pure tequila, a clean tequila. Even though at the time I thought it was just going to be a boutique brand, I was like, it's going to be the best boutique brand. It's not going to be like I'm just slapping my name on a bottle, and it's going to be something filled with additives and preservatives and just tastes horrible. I wanted to bring back to the United States an amazing quality brand. And that's what I did.
So you did that and then some. Let's just note that. Tell us how you were able to go beyond this boutique brand to now something that folks can tap into and enjoy their special occasions with T-Capri.
Well, again, I went to Jalisco, Mexico to learn and to be able to effectively communicate about my product. And my good friend Sean Yancey, she supported me a lot with the gourmet treats, and she knew my story. She knew, only a couple people knew I was going back and forth to Jalisco, Mexico. Like, I kept it under wraps for a long time. And she was like, let me do your story once this tequila gets over here. And mind you, I launched in the pandemic. So it was like, nobody could go to tastings. We couldn't have events. We couldn't do anything. So she did some research and she calls me one day and she was like, ma'am, we're getting ready to launch your story on Channel 4 because you just made history. Like, you're the first Black woman in the world to solely own a tequila brand. And mind you, at that point, it was only like my first 1,500 bottles. I had just launched my first 1,500 bottles. I got my, all of my certificates in Mexico, all of my certificates in the United States. I was a distributor. I did my importing. I did my exporting. I had all of my certificates. I did everything on my own. And when she did my story, it was just amazing. So when I made history, it just grew legs of its own. It took off. It went from a boutique brand to now everybody wanted this in 50 states. And it was absolutely amazing.
I love that. I mean, yes, I think the fact that you are a barrier breaker is so inspiring to people. But I also have to say, I think it's the taste. Having been able to appreciate T-Capri myself, really, your slogan, crafted with purpose, you taste that, you feel that, you experience that. And so again, kudos to you, Miss Barrier Breaking, Tiffany Hainsworth.
Yes, it's definitely it's an official small batch craft tequila. A lot of these brands out here now say they're small batch and they're craft, and you can see it's a lot of lawsuits going on right now with a lot of tequila brands. But when I started from the beginning, from 2019, I said that, my tequila is a clean tequila, it's a pure tequila. It's made with 3 ingredients: a 100% blue Weber agave, natural yeast, and volcanic well water. That's it. And that's why I fell in love with my distillery, because it was so clean and they refused to cut corners. And I love that. So when people drink my tequila now, you can see the difference between my brand and these celebrity brands and these big brands. It's a real tequila.
Yes, absolutely. And so tell us a little bit about what you hope that others who get to experience T-Capri know about you and your journey as they appreciate the brand, because I think that's really important for folks to know the history as they appreciate the delicious taste.
I think what I want people to understand and know that, I am a Black woman in a male-dominated industry, a white male-dominated industry, and it's very difficult. It is a very difficult task to be in the spirit industry, to be an entrepreneur. I've been in the federal government since I was 15. So I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. So this is new to me, and it is not easy. All of my battles that I fight, whether it's, distribution or, raising capital, because I reached into my retirement. I pulled out my entire retirement and started this tequila company. Wow. So I bet on myself, not even knowing what was going to happen. And I think people need to understand the highs and the lows. Yeah, you see me, I've made Forbes, Essence, Ebony, Black Enterprise, all of these things. You see all of the accolades, but what you don't see behind the scene is me jumping on a plane, going to Jalisco if something is wrong. Me having language barriers sometimes, me having, we had the global supply chain disruption where we didn't even have bottles during the pandemic. So, I went through so much alone. Mind you, I don't have anybody working for my company. And this is new for me. This was new for me. I didn't come from the spirit industry. So I came from an industry, my background is criminal justice. So I came from an industry where I started from the bottom. I started as a secretary and I worked my way up and I got my degrees. So I know how to start from the bottom. Yes. I know what it takes to learn. And I think that's key with anybody in any industry in entrepreneurship. Learn from the bottom so you can grow your business. When you have to give it over to someone else, if something goes wrong because you've done it.
Thank you so much. I think that wisdom we all need, not only aspiring entrepreneurs, but just being willing to learn and continuing to grow. And before I let you go, I have to ask, why should we support Black businesses beyond August, but year round?
Like I said, I launched during the pandemic, and when Black Lives Matter movement was in effect, and we were like, I'm doing amazing. And then, the economy and political things change, but we shouldn't change. Like, we still should stick to what we know and what we supported then. It's like you could see the difference, right? So it shouldn't be like Black History Month, Black Business Month, or whatever. Equality does matter. They are thousands of Black-owned businesses. That doesn't mean they're all good businesses. That's a real thing. But if you have a brand, whether it's hair care, whether it's in the spirit industry, if the non-alc industry, clothing industry, if you have a brand that you really like, support that brand, because support doesn't always mean you're financially buying it. Tell your friends. If you don't drink tequila, hey, did you know it's a Black woman that owns tequila and she from DC? Did you know? Like, tell your friends, post it on social. It doesn't cost anything to post on social media. It doesn't cost anything to tell your friends, but it's important because we represent such a small percentage of the wealth gap and even the capital raised for our brands. Like, I am still trying to raise capital for my brand. Such a small percent. Everything else goes to other nationalities, big brands and everything. But in order for us to grow and in order for us to create generational wealth, we got to start with us all year round.
We got to start with us all year round, all the time, and really make sure, like you said, that it's not just financial, but really that word of mouth is so incredibly important as well. Oh my goodness. I am so inspired by today's conversation. Tiffany, is there anything else that you'd like to add that I didn't ask that might be important? Particularly with Labor Day coming up, people, I'm gonna just put that in while y'all having your cookouts and all of that. Make sure you put T-Capri as a part of your bar.
And you know what I will add? Our voices have so much power. Like, we have power. If you're in a restaurant or in a liquor store or in a clothing store or a beauty store or whatever, and they don't have a Black-owned brand that you want, request it. We have the power to request things. We are the ones that put liquor brands and clothing brands and songs and videos. We make things go viral on TikTok. That's us. We have our voices have power. Our voices matter. Go in and say, hey, I want T-Capri tequila. You don't have it. You need to get it. Oh, I'm going to go to another store. I'm going to take me and my people to another. Like, you have to use your voice, and we have to use our power. We have to.
Absolutely. I am going to be taking that as my inspiration for this week, month, year, using our voices, using our powers, and making a difference.
Yes.
Tiffany, thank you so much for being with us. Please come back soon, because there's so much, again, to, I think, continue to unpack and celebrate about your story, and about the brand. And with, it's crazy to say, but with the holiday seasons coming up and things like that, I think that there's some things that we need T-Capri in our lives for. So
absolutely. And just drink responsibly, drink responsibly. And that's it. I think that that's the main thing. Everything in moderation.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, your vision, and for sharing it with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yes, take care. And as you all know, sharing is caring. Share this stream with your village so they know how to tap into T-Capri.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yes, take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.